I'm Natalie Page. This is my partner, Jacob Silverman,
Hi.
and we are here to talk to you today about age, ageism, and stereotypes of aging. And so I'm going to start out by defining gerontology for you, which is the study of aging and the stereotypes within ages.
And I'm going to focus more on ageism, which is actually the stereotypes of age and all the ideas associated with a person's age, which actually leads into our 3 points, which focus on stereotypes after college, marriage and kids, and the age that's an idea of when you should get married, and of course retirement and seniors at their age. So let's start off with stereotypes after college. So obviously we're all graduating soon, and it's important that we find a job. But now we kind of run into some roadblocks, and one of the biggest ones that I've gotten actually is the idea of millennials. So millennials actually have a few misconceptions about them. One of them is actually that we don't like to work, we're lazy, and we don't really have any drive. But that actually isn't true, and we actually face these ideas and stereotypes daily.
Yeah, I mean, I know personally I have heard a lot of yeses and heard a lot of no's with internships, jobs, in college, before college. And I know a good example of when I have gotten a job is they told me that you haven't had time to develop bad habits. You have, you're eager, you're excited, so we can teach you the good habits before, having to weed out the bad. And that's how I got one. But on the flip side of that, I haven't gotten a job or an internship because I didn't have enough experience. And what do they tell you? Before, you apply for a job, internship. Well, it's hard to put experience on your resume if they won't hire you because you don't have it.
Right, and for me, on the first day of one of my classes sophomore year, my professor walked in and said, if you don't get an internship at all during college, you will not get a job. And of course, it was designed to scare us, but it's actually kind of true now. So you look at it and there's the idea of, we think you'd be great for this position, but we don't think you have enough experience. Well, how do I get experience without getting experience? Which actually kind of leads into our article about millennial leaders and how they are leaders and people in the millennial cohort should work together, but how we also need to think about all the stereotypes associated with it.
Exactly. And, there's a lot of positive stereotypes, but there's also a lot of negative, and it's interesting because we are the millennial age of we hear both sides and we live both sides.
Right, exactly.
So after this, I guess our next transition would be marriage and kids.
Yeah.
I mean, that's what we've heard about our entire lives. Our parents already want to be grandparents. So I guess kind of what is your ideal age for someone to get married?
I guess for me right now, I think people want to get out of college. People want some time to themselves and then maybe get married around their late 20s, which I think is actually a pretty good idea for an age.
Yeah. Well, actually, statistically, it shows that we should get married between the age of 28 and 32. I don't know about you. I'm not ready to get married in 7 years, but, that's just me.
No, and I guess going off of that, there's the idea that, of course, our parents do want grandkids, but we're not ready to be parents, and the prime age to actually have children is between 25 and 35, and I'm not ready to be a dad. I can barely take care of myself.
No, yeah, but, we are both very blessed to have parents that are still together after 30 plus years. After getting married my mom was 21, my dad was 22. And, my grandparents are still together as well. They were both 18. That doesn't happen anymore.
And I think it just also goes off of a different time. Obviously in the 40s and 50s, it was more common to get married young, start your family young. But now we run into the idea that people want to start their careers and don't necessarily have time for a family or for kids right now.
Exactly. So I think that's just another thing that goes back to gerontology and just the study of aging, where, those ages might be statistically correct, but not necessarily super accurate in real life.
Yeah, and you look at it and how even some relationships now that start after high school or during college don't necessarily work out. One of my friends got married recently, but she also got divorced recently. And I've seen friends who get married at 18 or 19, and it just leads to some terrible relationships. And it kind of makes you think, well, when do we know we're ready for a relationship? And can society put an age stamp on when we should be married?
Exactly. Well, I guess this now moves into seniors, retirement.
Yeah, I think it actually does. You look at seniors now, and obviously people are getting older, but more people who are older are actually around longer now. You look at it versus the 60s and 70s. People were passing away when they're in their 60s and 70s. Now, there are so many people who are living to be 80 or 90, that people are seeing their great-grandchildren born.
Yeah. So I guess a good example of ageism being shown is the scandal of IBM. I mean, It's everywhere. It's very happening, and, they got a big old lawsuit on their hands. But it's crazy that statistically 60% of jobs are being taken from people over the age of 40, and that over the past 5 years, and that's gone to over 20,000 employees. And, it just shows, though, that ageism is a thing, but also that age is just a number. And it's sad that these people are being defined that have just by a number, they've been there for, 30, 40 years?
Right.
I mean, it's sad.
And I think it's insane because you look at how people view age, and of course now more and more people who are young are coming into the workforce and need that role model.
Exactly.
But that role model is not there anymore. And now you see how people have been doing it for so long, they don't really have anything to do. And it's so hard to find a job in your 40s now. You look at how people are kicked out of a job, but now that's kind of it. They don't know what to do because they've been doing the same position for so long.
Exactly. So I guess my question is, what age do you think you should retire?
I think the best age actually to retire has to be around maybe 74, 75. I think that's a time where you start slowing down, but not too much.
Yeah.
But you also realize all the life you've lived and can say, I want to spend more time with my family. I want to do this. And then you actually have more purpose after the 40, 50 years you worked.
Yeah. Well, according to the AARP, the age of retirement is 62. I mean, I don't know about you, but I mean, there are people that are in their jobs. They love what they do. They don't want to retire.
Yeah.
They want to stay in the job. But also, who actually is financially stable enough to retire at 62 anymore?
Right. And you see how important it is to have families, but also bigger families are becoming more and more common. I grew up with 3 siblings. My father isn't looking to retire anytime soon. But you also see how people love what they do, and they want to continue doing it.
Yeah, exactly. So I guess some examples of ageism, in media is, movie stars. We got Betty White. She's 96.
Right.
Doesn't believe in the word retirement. You couldn't pay her to retire, and she
Exactly.
loves what she does. And on the other hand, we have Jack Gleason, who was a star in Game of Thrones, and at the age of 21 decided, I want to live a normal life. I want to be a normal kid. I want to get a normal education, because he was done at 21, while Betty White at 96 is still living her best life. But I guess some more with some athletes. I mean, Peyton Manning, 39, 18 seasons in the NFL. They basically had to beg him to retire. And then on the other side, sadly, you have Chris Borland, who had to retire because of a brain injury, but retired only after 1 season in the NFL.
Yeah, and you actually see how common it is for some players to play. Julius Peppers has been around for what seems like forever, and he's still playing like he is 21. Yeah. But you also see how the mentality and the idea is kind of slowly decreasing from certain players. You see how 2014 Peyton Manning was completely different than 2015. And it could go with age, or it could go with the love of the game.
Exactly. So I guess to wrap things up, I guess we can agree on the definition of diversity, just being a variety of different types coming together, not one and the same. And I think it was very interesting for us how we didn't really look at age as a diversity before this class. We, of course, sexuality, race, class, but not so much age, and how it is such an apparent stereotype in the word of diversity.
Yeah, and I think some positive that we can actually pull from with age is that how we have a better understanding of it, we know where it fits. But some negatives is that we don't actually focus on it as much as we do with race or class. And since those all are connected and a part of someone's identity, they actually need to be treated that way and focused on that way as well.
Exactly. Well, thank y'all so much for listening, and roll Tide.